I just got done watching Loki Season 2, Episode 4, and here we are with my full spoiler review. And if you've been watching me for the last couple of weeks, you know that the first two episodes weren't really my cup of tea. It was easily the weakest thing that Loki has done yet. I love the first season. I think it's the best thing the MCU has done on Disney Plus as a streaming service for just talking TV. If we were talking Werewolf by Night, that would still be my favorite thing, but I loved Loki Season 1, and the first two episodes were very much an epilogue, kind of just coming off and showing this is now what's happening because of what Sylvie and Loki had done. Episode 3, though, thankfully got me right back on board with what I love about Loki. Traveling through the multiverse is really much dissecting these characters as a whole, the different variants, all the different timelines, and explaining a little bit more about the multiverse. And now, with episode 4, it made the episode 1 and 2 a little bit better for me because now I'm understanding a little bit more about the Loom, what is going on with this. Now, while we saw it, you actually see the threat, and the way that this episode ends as a cliffhanger maybe makes me go, I need episode 5 and 6. Right now, we got 2 episodes left, and for me, the way that this episode ended was just about what you want from television. A cliffhanger that makes you not understand what could possibly go next. And saying that because the timeline, the entire Loom, that little pipe exploded, bursted. What theories could happen now? Who knows? Because now this whole Loom situation is gone. And I don't think it completely eradicates my issues with the first 2 episodes kind of feeling a little bit sporadic, kind of all over the place as they're trying to explain all these different high concepts. And overall, kind of the entire season so far feeling more like setup than anything else. But I can't deny that I am invested again. It makes me go back and go, yep, this is why I love this Loki show. It's super unique. It's super different. And thankfully, I can say that because if I just watched the first 2 episodes, I'd be a little bit more negative Nancy on this. But episode 4 just absolutely whisked me away. If you agree with me or maybe even disagree with me, make sure to leave your thoughts down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. What's your favorite episode so far? What do you think about episode 4? Let's talk about it down there. And diving into this, I mean, there's a lot, you know, a civil war is kind of ensuing in all this. Renslayer killing off all those other TVA agents that didn't want to join them, and then you have that man, Matt Wolf, I think that's his like human name or his actor name, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he betrays them all, joins Renslayer so he can possibly get his life. Renslayer's trying to take over the TVA, and I'm happy to see that, like, right at the start of the episode, we very much open up with episode 3's cliffhanger of seeing what happened with Kang. So my theory of everything of that nature of Renslayer being a variant of Kang was wrong. Maybe it'll come true later down the road, but it looks like they were truly lovers or something of that nature, partners more per se. And he asked Miss Minutes to eradicate all memories of all this, which very much started that entire cycle once again. And her seeing that kind of just puts a lot of things into fruition with what she needs to do with her life and what her goals is. And I think the performance by Gugu is incredible because we see so much pain and dedication to something. And out of all the TVA members, she's the one that is, again, a parallel of 15, because one is now trying to change the outlook of what the TVA can be, and one wants to rule it for what it all can be. And again, I think that's the most powerful part about Loki, has always been parallels between different characters. Loki, Sylvie, these two. Victor Timely, Miss Minutes. I mean, even Miss Minutes is getting a lot of, like, glorified stuff in here. And Mobius, for me, is kind of the one that I want a little bit more of, but I'm still loving. Obi. There's all these fun side characters in here, but it really comes down to those parallels of what this show is all about. And, you know, seeing her trying to revolutionize and bring this all about is great. And then seeing Timely kind of being a different version of Kang, now that we've experienced, of course, Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We saw the different variants after there. We have Victor Timely. We have He Who Remains. It's fun to see all these different versions of him and how different Victor Timely is. And that ending, I mean, talk about, you know, just death. He just eradicated himself, ran right out there. And I don't know if that'll lead to something else, because who knows? You know, as we thought with Purging, like, that was it, that was death. And then we saw what happened with Loki after that. where maybe he didn't die. Maybe he went somewhere else. Maybe that entire explosion takes them to Battle World, per se, if you've read the comics. I don't know. I'm just spewing stuff out because that's what Loki makes you do. It makes you theorize, it makes you think. If you're a comic book reader, you're going to have all these different sort of breakdowns and different thoughts that could possibly happen. And I really love how this show decided to take forward different ideas once again. And everything with Victor Timely was interesting. There was a lot of fun aspects too, because I love him and Obi when they're meeting each other and handing the different journals. That was cute. The whole hot cocoa machine was fun. And this entire show is now imploded into a completely and utterly different situation that I have no idea where it possibly might take us next. And that is what is exciting. And I'm excited to kind of go back and rewatch 1 and 2 now, knowing where this is leading to. And even go back and rewatch season 1, because getting to kind of see how this whole fruition of everything that's kind of gone on. And it is very self-contained for the most part. Like, this hasn't bled into the actual MCU yet that I think a lot of us fans have been wanting it to. It's more on its own beaten path. And I think now seeing how season 2 is affecting this, I've been saying this about each episode reviews, that it feels like a workplace drama. And while I really like when they go to adventure different multiverses and kind of deal with situations outside of that, this is the first time when we were actually in the TVA this season where it felt cohesive, it felt streamlined. There was a lot that went on, and I was absolutely hooked, line, and synced into it. So with that said, Loki season 2, episode 4, again, just builds off what episode 3 did, which I thought was phenomenal. It makes it for the best episode of the season yet. And it makes me happy to say that, because I was worried going in after the first 2 episodes, which I thought were just fine and decent. I'm now locked back in and reminded of why I love this show so much. So I know I rambled off a bit. I know there's a lot of different character moments and different beaten paths and everything of that nature, and people being purged and all sorts of things like that. But just looking back at this entire episode and this entire season so far, I think this Loom situation has really turned into something different. And I think all the different characters and playing around in this workplace is one of the most unique features. And now comparing it to the first season, you can see how they're going in different directions to kind of compare and contrast. And speaking about when, like, Loki, when you see the other version of him that was, you know, jumping around in all sorts of bits, and he saw Sylvie, we find out who purged him. It was Loki himself. And Loki is the reason that this is all coming to, once again, everything that's happened. So the time variance and the timelines and all things like that, that's what I love when they play around with. And I think the next 2 episodes could possibly be like mind-blowing type situations. At least that's what I'm kind of hoping for and kind of guessing, because now it's kind of just in a wide open range of ideas and possibilities, and I really hope they take that and just shoot for the sky with it. So let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are. Thank you so much again for watching this. This is my Loki season 2 episode 4 spoiler review, and of course, until next time, stay classy.